Hey guys, Sean here. So today I'm going to be going over how to paint Game Boy shells, like the process that I go through. There's kind of two different ways. There's painting the outside of a shell, and there's painting the inside of, typically would be a clear shell. So you can see this is a clear shell that's been painted white on the inside. And then this is a white shell. This comes in white, but then I painted it to kind of be like a DMG. So you can see it kind of matches the DMG color. But I'm going to be going over the different types of paint that I use. This is Montana Gold. There's a primer and finish for it and everything. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so I'm just using kind of regular painter's tape here. Really, it's just a matter of getting the masking as accurate as possible. The more accurate you mask this, the better the outcome. The first few times I did it, I didn't mask very well and ended up having to just kind of scrape away a lot of the paint afterwards with like an X-Acto knife, because you can't really use like a solvent, because the solvent that eats away the paint eats away the plastic. So just really take your time, go right up to the very, very edge, and really think about all the areas that you want paint on or you don't want paint on. I'm doing this in a couple different passes here, and using like the back of my nail, and just use whatever tools you have, little fine tweezers, a flat screwdriver, maybe a spudger. Just really make sure that the tape is adhered exactly where you want, and adhered really, really well. And that will really ensure a nice sharp edge on the paint line. And just one in the middle here to make sure it doesn't go through. And now wherever there's like little ridges, I'm just kind of going over one more time just to really make sure it's adhered to the very edge, because those spots especially can kind of leak over. And now for the inside, there's a few parts you need to kind of think about. It's kind of a pain if you get paint inside like the A and B button well, and like the D-pad area. So what I'm doing is rolling up a piece of tape. Here it's a little bit too long, so I'm going to cut it in half. But just roll it up, but don't stick it together so it's really stuck as a circle. Just make it really loose. Get it in there so it's still loose. And then use like tweezers or something to kind of open it up. Open the loop as big as it will get in there. And then on the inside, you want to push it to the inside of the button well. And just do your best to make sure it's really, really tightly on there. And now, after that's done, I'm going around the edge one more time, but not on like the outer edge. This is kind of on like the face of the edge. It's kind of hard to explain, but there's like a little lip, and I don't want that lip to be covered in paint. So I'm doing it in two different passes, because if you just do one piece of tape, it kind of might lift up a little bit. So this kind of prevents that from happening, hopefully. And here I'm doing the D-pad. So kind of the same way as the A and B button. It's really, really time consuming. I think this whole process took me an hour and a half to do the front shell, the rear shell, and the battery cover. Just to mask it, not even to paint it. So there we go, there's the D-pad. And I'm not going to worry about the start and select or the speaker area. Here's the battery cover, and I went all around the very edge. And now this part's kind of interesting. On the back, you want to do these two parts where the cartridge goes in, because if there's paint there, it can kind of scrape onto the cartridge itself, because it's kind of tight on the cartridge. So make sure to mask that. And then for this big opening here, I just kind of just fill it as best I can. And then there's a bunch of other small little holes. I just kind of use my tweezers and cut little pieces, and just take your time, go all around, and just really think about where you want paint and where you don't want paint. Make sure it's really, really adhered well. And now for painting, this primer from Montana Gold is amazing. You spray it on, and it's like nothing. It's kind of like a clear coat. You can spray this on the front of the shell, the rear, anything, however you're doing it. But this really makes the paint stick just amazingly. Like, trust me, if you're using like Krylon or something, it's just gonna fall right off pretty much. It scrapes off so easily. But if you're using this Montana Gold with this primer, this paint is adhered very, very well. It just does not come off. So I highly recommend this paint. And now I'm just waiting 5 minutes for this to dry, so that way it's not completely dry, and that way the paint will kind of adhere to the primer while it's curing. And so here I am doing the first coat of the color, and this color I'm using is called White Pure. It says SH. White Pure. I don't know what that means, but the other color, I have a few different colors here. The one that I've used for painting a DMG color is called Marble. That was the closest I think that they make out of any paint to match a DMG. It's really, really close. It's not absolutely perfect, but it's pretty close. Here's one more coat of the color. And just really make sure you get into all the little cracks. This paint sprays pretty well at kind of all angles. You can kind of turn the can completely horizontally and it will still spray, so it's pretty good. And be sure to put the little protector back on. And now we're going to spray varnish. And again, this is just to protect the paint from being from scratching off. This isn't exactly necessary for the inside of the shell, because you're not going to be touching the inside of the shell, but just in case, it doesn't really hurt. The varnish is really, really thin. And here I am painting the rear shell and the battery cover. This part I just sped up because I don't think anybody wants to watch an hour of painting or something. Now, with the Montana Gold spray paint tips, it's really important to clean them afterwards, because the paint dries and then it starts like spattering. You can get the tips really cheap as well, but I don't have any extras, so I just try to clean it in some alcohol after every use. And just use a toothpick and kind of scrape it and push it into where the paint goes through, and yeah, the alcohol really gets the paint off. And there we go. Now it's time to take off the tape. And here I've waited for it to dry completely before I did this. And you kind of want to think about like where the edge of the paint is, you don't want to pull the paint off. So you want to pull the tape in the direction that's not going to pull the paint off. So just kind of keep that in mind when you are pulling the tape off, if that makes sense. And there we go, it's all finished. Now there's a couple spots that I missed in the masking here. You'll see right here on the edge, but that'll easily scrape off with an X-Acto blade. And a little bit right here, especially along this edge. So yeah, you can kind of feel it's just a little bit rough on that edge. So just take your X-Acto and you want to just scrape it along the edge really carefully and just take that little bit of roughness off, just like this, and that's it. There we go, all finished. And that's it for this one, you guys. This is what it looks like when it's all completed. I put it all together, just testing here with Pokemon Yellow. But yeah, that's it for this one, you guys. I will see you in the next one. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments.